There are places that, even if erased from maps, can never be forgotten. Going there isn't bravery, it's a mistake. Because some doors, once opened, can never be closed again. In 1873, Black Hollow Village, a place said to have been erased from official U.S. records, carried a mysterious past. Local historians speculated it was abandoned due to a plague or some mass disaster. But despite appearing on old maps, no official documents confirmed its fate. Still, tales circulated among the locals, stories of those who entered the village never returning. In the fall of 2020, a team of 4 set out to unravel this legend. Historian Clara Evans, paranormal investigator Derek Holt, photographer Mia Torres, and their local guide, Sam Grayson. Armed with a faded 19th century map and a handful of old letters, they located the entrance to Black Hollow, a fog-shrouded trail deep in the forest. The air at the village's edge was cold and damp, an eerie silence hanging between the trees. At first glance, it looked like any abandoned settlement. Wooden houses rotting away, windows shattered, paths overtaken by moss. But inside the homes, time seemed frozen. Dusty plates sat on tables, a half-finished journal lay open, and in one room a rusty knife rested on the floor. Clara noticed the journal's final entry read, "The shadow knocked on the door, the bells fell silent." Derek's EMF device picked up unusual electromagnetic activity near the village center. Mia, meanwhile, caught something odd in her photos. Shadowy human-like figures appeared in the corners of some frames, though nothing was visible to the naked eye. As the sun set, a low hum stirred the village. What could have been mistaken for wind soon turned into whispers. "Find us. Don't forget us." Sam glanced at the old bell tower and froze. A figure stood at its peak, draped in a long black cloak, its face lost in shadow. It didn't move, but it felt like it was watching them. Derek confirmed the EMF readings spiked near the tower. Deciding to spend the night, the group set up camp in one of the houses. But as the hours passed, strange things began to unfold. Mia heard a tapping from the basement and found old bones and a decayed shoe scattered on the dirt floor. Clara discovered the words "The shadow doesn't forgive" scratched into a wall. Just past midnight, the whispers grew louder and a single bell tolled from the tower. Before dawn, they resolved to leave, but the trail was gone. The forest seemed to have swallowed their path. Thick fog obscured everything. Derek found fresh bloodstains and a torn piece of fabric near a tree. Mia's jacket. As the group ran in panic, Mia's scream echoed through the woods, and then she was gone. Clara, pausing near a swamp, glimpsed bones and an old hat submerged in the murky water, evidence of someone who drowned there long ago. Sam swore he saw the figure descend from the tower and slip into the trees, but no one believed him, until they stumbled across Derek's body, slumped against a tree, his throat slashed. Beside him lay a rusted bell. In the end, Sam and Clara escaped the forest, though both were too shaken to speak. Sam was found miles away, unconscious. Clara sat beneath a tree, clutching Mia's camera. The camera's final footage showed Derek's body, then the figure from the bell tower approaching slowly. When its cloak parted, it revealed a human form in tattered, ancient clothing, looking as though it had been waiting centuries to rot. The video cut out with the sound of a bell. Police searched for Mia and Derek, but found only a few bones and a bloodied shoe in the woods. Locals whispered that Black Hollow's curse had reawakened. Some claimed the village had been wiped out in a massacre in 1873, with the killer still haunting the land. Clara refused to talk about it afterward, though a note she left behind described a recurring nightmare. "The bells won't stop, the shadow knocks at the door." Sam never returned to the forest. A year later, he was found dead in his home, his throat cut by his own hands. Next to him was a single photo from Mia's camera, the figure from the bell tower staring at Sam with a faint, pale smile. Some places are never forgotten because they won't let us forget. Black Hollow may have been erased from maps, but the shadows are still there. And maybe they're waiting for one more soul. But what about you? Would you dare step into a place like this? Let me know in the comments. Let's see who's brave enough. Ethan, Sarah, Mike, and Jess set out to create paranormal videos for their YouTube channel. Their destination was Silent Valley, a village erased from maps. Legend had it that in the 1970s, the village was mysteriously abandoned overnight, and even authorities couldn't locate it since. Ethan claimed he'd pinpointed its location using a faded newspaper clipping he found in a local library. The article mentioned strange events in Silent Valley in 1974, after which it vanished from record. With cameras and walkie-talkies in tow, the group ventured into the forest, buzzing with excitement. They reached the village past midnight. Silent Valley sat in a fog-choked hollow, its decaying wooden houses resembling a ghost town. But something was off. Lights flickered in some windows, as if someone were inside. The front doors stood wide open, yet the place was deserted. Pinned to the walls were newspaper clippings from 1974, some with headlines that seemed to describe them. 4 teens enter Silent Valley. No return from the valley. Ethan laughed it off as a coincidence, but Jess went pale. It felt like the village had been waiting for them. They started filming, capturing the dusty furniture and shattered windows of the abandoned homes. Soon, a strange static hum filled the air, not from their walkie-talkies, but from everywhere. Jess found an old radio in one house and turned it on. Amid the crackling, a muffled voice pleaded, "Help us! Get us out!" It sounded familiar. When Ethan rewound the recording, they froze. The cries for help were their own voices, yet none of them had screamed. Sarah muttered, "This isn't possible," her hands shaking as she shut off her camera. Panic set in, and they decided to leave. But the trail they'd taken was gone. The forest had thickened, trapping them. The village seemed to shift around them. Roads twisted in new directions. Houses appeared in different spots. Ethan checked his phone's GPS. The screen read, Silent Valley, 1974. The date showed July 24th, 1974, not 1998. Jess whispered, "Are we slipping through time?" No one could answer. The walkie-talkie crackled, and a distorted voice began listing their names. Ethan, Sarah, Mike, Jess. It was familiar yet inhuman, like an echo from the depths. Desperate to escape, the group split up. Mike and Jess went into a house's basement to check the walkie-talkie signal, while Ethan and Sarah bolted for the woods. The last transmission from Mike was a terrified, "It sees us," the shadow, then static. Ethan and Sarah were found unconscious on a forest road at dawn, scratched and covered in mud. Mike and Jess were never seen again. When police searched Silent Valley, they found a 1974 report in one of the houses. 2 teens came to explore Silent Valley. They didn't return. Witnesses claimed shadows moved in the house. Ethan and Sarah, recovering in the hospital, checked their footage. The files were corrupted, nothing but darkness and static. But in one frame, a silhouette loomed behind Jess and Mike. Tall, warped, faceless. Ethan whispered, "That thing took them," while Sarah stared blankly, unable to speak. Days later, Ethan's sanity began to unravel. He woke screaming at night, shouting, "The shadow's coming back!" Sarah withdrew, silently scratching nonsensical lines into walls. Police dug deeper into the case. Among Silent Valley's relics, they found a 1974 audio tape, two teens' pleas for help, eerily similar to Jess and Mike's. At the end, the same distorted voice listed names: Tom, Lisa, Mike, Jess. When Ethan heard it, he lost it, yelling at the cops that the shadow was still after them. One night, he vanished from his hospital room, leaving only the words Silent Valley scrawled in blood on his bed. Police records revealed Silent Valley had been used by a cult in the 1970s, summoning a dark entity during rituals. Its erasure from maps was a cover-up. After Ethan's disappearance, Sarah stopped speaking entirely. In a mental ward, she muttered about shadows and clawed at the air. No one returned to Silent Valley, but some claimed to hear static and muffled screams from the forest depths on quiet nights, as if the lost are still there, trapped with the shadow, begging for release. Some places are never forgotten, because they refuse to be. Silent Valley exists only with those who are lost, and time plays by its own rules there. But what about you? If you ever find this village, can you be sure what year you'll wake up in? If you have the courage for stories like this, hit the like button, subscribe, and join us.